silence, les cœurs des gens amoureux.
Hey everyone, so in today's video I wanted to jump on here and do something a little bit different. I feel like every beauty YouTuber says that whenever they do something that is just even remotely different than a review or a makeup tutorial, but you know, today's video is a little bit different for me. I'm basically going to be reacting to Allure's Best of Beauty for 2020. I actually saw Hyram here on YouTube do something very similar with skincare products, so I thought it would be fun to do that with makeup. So what I'm doing today is basically sharing my thoughts on these picks that Allure has chosen. I'll be giving you guys my thoughts and experiences, good or bad, on the products that they chose. I'm actually wearing some of the products on my face today. So if you like it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you like me, I would love for you to subscribe as well. So make sure to subscribe. So I'm only going to be talking about the products that I've tried for myself and have an experience with. Maybe a little known fact is that one of my dreams has always been to be a beauty writer. I love all things beauty, obviously. I was also an English major and a mass comm major in college, and beauty writing is something that I've always had an interest in. I never really knew where to start with that, and I'd been watching so much YouTube that I decided to pick up YouTube, but beauty writing is something I still have a really huge interest in, and I really love Allure, so I'm excited to jump into this video. So first, starting off with base products, this is the Laneige Glowy Makeup Serum. I am a really big fan of a good dewy skin prep step. I actually did an entire video on my channel about the best and the worst glass skin primers, so I'll make sure to leave that link down below because I think a lot of you will be interested in that. For me, this is a really good sort of glowy makeup primer if you have more normal or combination skin, because I don't think that this is a super dewy effect. I think it's kind of just like a light dewy effect. It definitely feels more like a skincare step than it does necessarily like an illuminating primer step, which I think is really nice. I like the addition of glycerin in here and the ceramides, and there's no visible shimmer to the product, so that is really nice as well. It's very lightweight. It will give you that subtle glow that I think a lot of you will enjoy. And if you like a primer that feels more like a skincare step, then I think that you would probably like this. But if you're looking for like a super dewy primer, maybe check out that video for some of my other picks. But I thought that this was a really nice one, and I think it'll be good, again, for those of you that want your primer to feel more like skincare and maybe you don't want anything too dewy. Next up, we have the Armani Beauty Luminous Silk Concealer. I did try this very briefly and I returned it because it just wasn't a concealer that I was a big fan of. I remember just wanting a little bit more coverage. I think it looked nice under the eyes. I didn't have a lot of textural issues with the product. It didn't make my under eyes look dry or anything like that. I just remember being a little bit underwhelmed with it. Maybe I would give it another try, but I'm kind of tied to my Kosas Revealer concealer. You guys know I've been kind of blabbing about that concealer all year, but I just ran out of it, and my heart is still like, I need to go pick up another one of those. So I wouldn't exactly choose this. You know, for the price point, I would probably just go with the Kosas. But I do like that they added caffeine. The Kosas also has caffeine. I think caffeine in concealers works really well. I definitely see a sort of depuffing effect from them. Next, we have the Maybelline Cheek Heat Gel Cream Blush. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this product. This, I think, is Maybelline's version of like the Glossier Cloud Paints. I really think that they were heavily inspired by them. But for me, this wasn't a home run. I do like the gel cream formula. Unfortunately, like it mentions in the review, it really is virtually impossible to overdo it because there's like no pigment. It really just isn't giving you much of anything, at least for the shade that I chose. I found that I was applying it and you know, it would just blend out into nothing. Like there was nothing on my skin having applied it. And you know, with a cream blush, I love a really beautiful pop. So this is just not one that I would personally recommend. I have a video about the best and worst cream blushes at the drugstore. I'll leave that below in case you are looking for one at a more affordable price. But for me personally, this one isn't one that I would go back to. It also would start to look heavy if you kept building it up. and because there's not a lot of pigment, that's kind of your inclination to build it up to get more pigment. So I think the formula is just a little bit off on this one, but maybe good for someone just getting into makeup or someone that really doesn't like a lot of pigment to their blush. But I can see this not being a favorite for a lot of people. Next up, we have the new reformulated liquid highlight from Becca. It is the Becca Cosmetics Ignite Liquefied Light Highlighter. I did try this earlier this year, and unfortunately, I was not a huge fan of this formula. I have been a very big fan of the shimmering skin perfectors in liquids, the powder ones. I think that Becca just does a really beautiful job with highlight, and they also pick really beautiful shades. And I was really excited to see what they would do with this new liquid formula, but unfortunately, I just don't feel like it is the most flattering. I think the original skin perfecting liquid was a little bit more dewy and fresh looking. It wasn't super long wearing, and they do, you know, mention right here that that would be a highlight that wouldn't last as long. So if you are looking for a really long wear liquid highlight, I would recommend this one. It definitely wears a long time, but I do think that you sacrifice the quality of the skin just looking a little bit more textured, and the product just looking a little bit more apparent, really. A little bit more like that stripe on the cheekbones, unfortunately. I think the shades are pretty, but unfortunately for me, I wasn't a big fan of the way that it looked on my skin. I just prefer something a little bit more glowy and dewy, and I would have liked it to blend a little bit better on the skin as well. Next up, we have the Nudestix Nudies Bronze. I am actually wearing this on my cheeks today, more so as a blush. The Nudestix Nudies have been a fan favorite for a lot of you for a very long time because the pigment is beautifully even. It's pigmented, but it's easy to blend. It's very thin, and it also lasts on the skin. So there's really a lot to love about these. The formula is creamy and blendable, but it's still more on the matte side. It's not a really, really dewy cream bronzer in my opinion. I know that they mentioned that it's dewy, but I don't think that it's super, super dewy. I think it more leans on the skin-like side. They do mention the Sunkissed shade, which is the shade that I have in, I guess, the one that I'm about to throw onto the ground. But yeah, so they mentioned the Sunkissed shade, and I love using this as a sort of blush bronzer combo. Put a little bit onto the nose and you get a really beautiful sun-kissed effect. It's that perfect sort of blush bronzer hybrid shade, and super, super gorgeous. And I think that the Nudestix formula is just one that everyone goes back to because it is so reliable. And with cream products, really with all makeup products, I love going back to those reliable picks. So I think you really can't go wrong with the Nudestix formula. I definitely recommend it. You can see why Allure would have chose this. I like that they chose the Sunkissed shade too, because I think the Sunkissed shade is really underrated. And lastly, for base products, they have the Urban Decay All Nighter Makeup Setting Spray. It's actually not one that I wore today, even though I do have it, but this is a really good makeup setting spray, and it's kind of a cult favorite, I think, for a reason. It's really good if you are in like a humid climate, hot summertime weather, and you just need your makeup to last all day. If you have dry skin, I wouldn't recommend using a lot of this every day, but if you're someone that just has difficulty with your makeup lasting throughout the day, I do think it's worth an investment to get a really good makeup setting spray. The mist on this one is really fine, and I think, again, it's a cult favorite for a reason. It's really dependable, definitely extends the wear of your makeup. But let us go back and let's check out more categories. So now we are going to move on into clean. So this is the clean beauty section. Next up, we have the Tower 28 Bronzino Illuminating Cream Bronzer. So it is what I am wearing on the hollows of my cheeks today. This is the shade West Coast. So I think that this is a really beautiful cream bronzer shade. And they did mention that in here, is that it has more of a red brown undertone. And I just haven't been able to find an undertone in a cream bronzer quite like this. And I think it's really flattering on me. Personally, when I bronze up or tan, I don't get really yellow, and I just find that a lot of bronzers can look a little bit muddy on me, but this particular shade I find just looks really flattering and realistic on me. I love that it has a sort of soft like sheen to it as well. It's not like a true glitter, but you definitely can see that it's more on the shimmery side. But it's not a shimmer, it's more like a sheen or a shift. I wish it was a little bit easier to work with, and I did mention that in like my full-on review and demo of this product. Wish that it was easier to blend out, but I do think that the color is really beautiful, and I know a lot of people that really love the Tara 28 formulas. It's not a go-to just because I find that sometimes I have difficulty blending, but if you were interested in this, I do think it's worth looking into just for the shade alone. The shade is really gorgeous. Next up, we have the Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint. That is what I'm wearing on my skin today. It's the shade Tullum, and I did an entire review comparing this to the Kosas Tinted Face Oil. Since that review and since I've continued to try this, I've just really realized how much I like it. I've continued to wear it and just have consistently loved the way that it's looked on my skin the more I wear it. It's a really easy product. What I like to do is just apply it with fingers and then I'll just tap it in with a sponge at the very end, but it really is a beautiful product. It looks so natural and lightweight on the skin, but it also gives you just a touch of dew that I think is really flattering. It doesn't break up on the skin either though. Really wears very nicely on my skin. It doesn't settle into any of the creases in my nose or any of the fine lines that I have. I just feel like it's a really easy everyday makeup product, and I love for my skin tints to be that for me. They have to be easy to work with. And I also really enjoy that it gives you quite a bit of coverage. It's not like a full medium coverage, but it's definitely a lot more than I'm always expecting. It really covers up all of my redness. I just feel like the quality of my skin always looks really nice when I apply it. Again, it's not too dewy, it doesn't slip around on my skin, but it still gives me enough moisture. And the ingredients in here are also really awesome. There's squalane, hyaluronic acid, and niacinamide. I never feel like my skin is irritated or angry having applied this and worn it throughout the day. So I think this formula is really good, and I'm glad that I have continued to wear it and try it out. I think it's definitely one worth looking into. I get a lot of questions about like some of my favorite skin tint products, and I would say right now one of my favorites is definitely the Ilia. Next, let's move on into the eyes, and can I just say that I absolutely love these two looks. I think they're so pretty. Makes me want to play with color. But anyway, so here is the mascara that I have tried and I actually have right here and on my eyes right now. Why was I pointing to my forehead as if I have it on my forehead? So it's the Maybelline The Falsies Lash Lift Mascara. At first, I wasn't hugely impressed with this, but I gave it another try because I wanted to try it before, you know, giving you guys another review. And I think that this is really nice if you like more of a lifted look. When I take off a little bit of the excess product that is on the wand, I am able to get more of that lifted look. Definitely more of a wispy lash look as well. I think what makes this mascara really nice is if you, again, take off a little bit of the excess, just work it into the root, and I think you'll notice that the curl lasts a pretty long time. A really nice, even formula. I never noticed that I get any crumbling with this one. So if you're looking for an affordable mascara that is good and solid, I definitely think that this one is nice. I don't think it'll replace my CoverGirl Lash Blast by any stretch of the imagination. That's like my holy grail. Next up, we have the Revlon Colorstay Cream Eyeshadow. So I have a best and worst affordable cream eyeshadow video coming. I know I've told you guys that for a while, but it's kind of insane how many I've tried now, but I promise it's coming. If you're looking for just a really easy, creamy shadow that looks really flattering on the lids, I definitely recommend this one. I also really like that they last on me. Sometimes with a more long wear formula, they can look a little bit dry on the lids, but I find these to still be really creamy and blendable. As a whole, I think they're definitely one of the better ones at the drugstore. Really nice to just pop into the crease and just be out the door. So definitely a fan of these. And I'm so excited to see the Danessa Myricks color fixes on here as well. The one that I have for the eyes is the shade Celebration. I did an entire video, my autumnal glossy lid look, so I'll leave that link down below if you're interested in seeing how this looks on the eyes. But I completely completely love the Colorfix formula. I think it's super unique. It's more of a long wear paint color that will not budge or crease on the lids whatsoever. It gives you a ton of pigment. You do have to be careful with them because they are so pigmented. But I think once you get the hang of them, you realize how truly unique the formula is. I love that there's so many different shades. I love how budge proof they are, but they don't feel crackly or uncomfortable on the lids. They're still very thin. You can blow them out really softly and sheerly, or you can really build them up for like maximum pigment. So it's really just a versatile product that I absolutely recommend. I really want to try other shades and play around with them a little bit more, but yeah, I definitely recommend these. And next we have what is on my eyes today, which is the Kosas 10 Second Shadow. So I reviewed these a long time ago. This is the shade Copper Halo that I have on my eyes. It's really a formula that I've grown to appreciate even more as I've continued to wear it. I think what makes this sort of cream shadow or liquid shadow a little bit different than all of the others that I've tried is just how thin and watery and liquidy it is. They're super easy to blend because they are so liquidy. You can build them up, you can really sheer them out like I did today. You can get a really effortless look, you can really build them up to be a little bit more dramatic. But I love the sheer quality and the liquidy quality to them because it just doesn't feel like any product on the skin at all. Make sure to always hold them upright because I have made the mistake of tilting out product. I love how liquidy and blendable they are. They're really like a watercolor sort of liquid shadow, but they also set down so you're not left with them feeling liquidy on the lid. Set down to pretty much feel like nothing. Like I can't really feel anything on my lids at all. So yeah, I definitely recommend these, and Copper Halo I think is my favorite. And lastly, we actually have the lips. So I was surprised. I haven't tried a lot of these lip products. But there was one that I wanted to mention that they did give an award to, which I am a huge fan of. It is the Flower Beauty Petal Pout Lip Mask, and that is what I'm wearing on my lips today. I have the shade Sangria. They gave this an award for the lip balm category, but I would wear this anytime, any place if I just wanted like a little touch of color and I really wanted to nourish the lips. These feel so luxurious. They really feel like butter, but they're never greasy, never heavy feeling. It's so comforting to apply them and to have them on the lips. But you can see like the color and the shine is so subtle, but makes a really big difference. I feel like the quality of my lips look better. My lips look healthier and bigger. They give just a really beautiful shine, but it's also not too much shine. It's not too much product sitting on the lips. And I like that the pigmentation is a little bit more sheer because it doesn't look like a lot of heavy product on the lips either. And I think when you are dealing with some, dry skin around the lips, you want a product that doesn't look really apparent. So this is just an absolutely beautiful formula. I love the glow and the gloss that it gives my lips without it looking like a lot of heavy product. And I also just love the way that my lips feel when I have it on, but also when I take it off. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.